Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Star Rail recently announced a collab between both games. At the moment, we don't have any confirmation on if it's only going to be Zenless getting Star Rail stuff or if Star Rail will actually get stuff as well. For this video, we're assuming both sides get content because that's way more fun. And briefly, speaking of fun, I do have to mention there may have been a leak, unfortunately, going around. I think I saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it. Those characters will show up in the video, but they will not be disclosed as the leaked characters. So I mean, if you know, you know, but if you don't, then you don't. I like to keep it fun and whimsical over here. I don't really like leaks myself. I just unfortunately got to see them. And there's also a chance that they are Omega fake. We are months out from the release of the collab, which will be winter 2026. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about what we can see for the Zenless and Star Rail collab. Before we get into what everyone defaults to, I actually wanted to discuss the content of the collab itself. Events, rewards, all that fun stuff. Let's start with the Star Rail side. So what can Star Rail potentially get from Zenless? I'd like to see a free-to-play event light cone. Maybe it has Bell and Wise on the art. It'd be really cool, I think. Obviously, if we're gonna have characters, light cones are a given. We're gonna get light cones regardless. I just wanted, a free-to-play one with maybe Bell, Wise, and like EOS on it. I think it would be cool. These days, the Trailblazer gets cosmetics, so maybe we can do something really fun and have Stell cosplay as Bell and have Kalis cosplay as Wise. This might be too much for them though, so what they will probably default to is Belle has a little pin on her head that's like IN. I could see that being a potential cosmetic. Maybe some sort of silly Bang Boo hat, something along those sorts if they don't want to go with the cosplay idea. In Star Rail, we do have pets. I think a Bang Boo pet would be ideal, probably based on EOS. I don't know if it would be EOS himself or not, but I think just putting EOS as a little Bang Boo pet would be really cool to have run around with any character that you're playing as. And let's not forget potential phone case and backgrounds representing Zenless Zone Zero as well. These come with most big events. Funny enough, I don't believe we've had a event phone wallpaper in a long time for Star Rail, so I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it back for the Zenless collab. So now we're going to jump over to the Zenless side. What can Zenless get from Star Rail in terms of content? I believe Pom Pom as a Bang Boo that rides the express into enemies would legitimately be absolute cinema. So I think they should probably look into that if they haven't already. But a Pom Pom Bang Boo, I think that would be universally loved. Everyone would love that. I think in terms of cosmetics for Bell and Wise, they could receive a Pom Pom conductor hat as a cosmetic and even a express ticket as a cosmetic they can put somewhere on their person. Maybe even a mem hat. Maybe bring the mem hat back in and give it to Bell and Wise just for fun. Amphorius was like a huge thing for them. They put so much time and effort into Amphorius. I wouldn't be surprised if they at least try to add something from Amphorius into Zenless. Now, similar to Star Rail getting phone backgrounds, I can expect a Internaut skin based on Star Rail and also a keychain based on Star Rail. The keychain, I feel like I see it now with my eyes. The keychain is literally going to be the Express. Like it's probably going to be the logo with like the Express like slanted going upwards. Pretty sure that's what we're going to get. Staying on the Zenless side, we do have an event here. I did craft up a little bit of an event. This one is very simple. Very basic. I think it's actually very easy for them to do. Turn Zenless Zone Zero into a turn-based RPG. Make it like a 10-stage event, nothing too crazy, but you just have the Zenless characters fight in a line like it's Dragon Quest, like it's Final Fantasy, like it's Honkai Star Rail. And then you have, obviously, you probably base the combat off of Star Rail. You just have the 3 buttons and an alt, and you just have them fight Star Rail enemies as well. I think that would be really, I think people would enjoy that, right? At least I would enjoy it, but I don't know. Let me know. I think people would enjoy that. I think it would be a cool, cute little event. And to kind of cross over the games and truly like blend them. On the flip side for Star Rail, as much as I would love for Star Rail to then copy what I said for Zenless, but then flip it so Star Rail gets a action game event, I don't believe they would do that. So if that's the case, just give us Bang Boo Fall Guys instead and make little Bang Boos based on Star Rail characters. I think that would be great. We would love that. That would be fun. That would be a fun little event as a compromise if they don't want to or if they can't do like a Zenless style game in Star Rail, that would be a good compromise, I believe. Now we're on to the actual characters who could potentially show up. I'll be talking about them in packages. I dubbed these packages timelines. Each timeline has 2 characters for both games. For example, we'll jump straight into the first timeline. March 7th and Don Hung coming to Zenless, Nicole and Billy coming to Star Rail. This is an easy slam dunk no-brainer. Not many people would be mad at this choice. March would be the second archer in Zenless, which already makes her stand out, alongside the fact that they can even potentially have Hunt, March, and Evernight implementations into her moveset as well. I think she could be maybe a sub DPS, maybe a stunner. Stunner seems correct, especially because she freezes with her 6-pass ice. I think a stunner would be pretty cool. Her gameplay style, she would just come in, do her thing, and bounce out. Stunner, sub DPS, one of the two, that would work really well. Next, we have Don Hung, who would be probably really fun to play as a spear character, plus all of his Super Saiyan forms that they could potentially implement into his character as well. For Don Hung, I actually did think it would be interesting if they decided to do a defense unit, but I don't think Zenless even knows what they want to do with defense units. So I think we're going to make him a DPS and just have him utilize a bunch of different attacks from his various forms, all combinating into Singularity Don Hung. Now, Nicole coming to Star Rail. She would definitely function exactly how she does in Zenless, being a debuffing support. Visually, I hope they change her ultimate to something a bit more flashy, maybe a team attack with the rest of the cunning hairs. So you get Ambi in there, you get Nekomata in there, and maybe even you throw Billy in there, despite the fact that he is the next character that we're talking about here. Billy would be a main DPS and probably have some of the cooler animations in the game because Billy is just that guy. I'm thinking he'd be a follow-up DPS where he would take a shot after any teammate does an attack, pretty similar to Fei Xiao. Maybe they could even get fancy, implement Starlight Billy stuff in there with the motorcycle and the rider kick. That would be amazing, but I'm keeping it simple here. Leave it to them to cook. Leave it to them to cook, right? As an aside, I do hope they go all out for these characters and they all have over-the-top flashy animations for both Zenless and Star Rail. And by the way, I wouldn't expect the Trailblazer or Bell and Wise to show up as playable. Gacha games usually like to keep their protagonist locked down, so I wouldn't expect those guys to be playable at all. On to the second timeline. We do have Stellaron Hunters. Now, any combination of the two would be good. My personal pick is going to be Kafka and Silverwolf, and coming from Zenless to Star Rail will be Vivian and Ellen. Let's start with the Zenless characters coming to Star Rail. I picked 2 decently popular characters, Ellen being the first premium ZZZ banner, and Vivian being a very popular end of season 1 character. Vivian would be a sub DPS that functions a little different. When she presses her skill, instead of attacking, she would float up into the air. Then after any teammate does an attacking skill, she would then follow up and cause a bloom, which would scale differently depending on the element the character who attacked was. So we can kind of get the gameplay of an anomaly character into Star Rail without it actually being anomaly. I think it's a cool idea to try. For Ellen, I expect her to be a pretty straightforward ice DPS. I could see her being a destruction character. In Zenless, she does need to build up her flash freezes before dealing big damage, so perhaps that can carry over here, where her ult will be the bulk of the damage after you've gained a couple of flash freeze charges. I always like the idea of trying to keep the character spirit the same when trying to move them to a different game, similar to like Smash Brothers. If you guys ever played Smash Brothers, that's probably where my mindset comes from. It's like, Sakurai is a genius when it comes to representing characters, and I just try to copy him most of the time. Moving on to the Star Railers coming to Zenless. Kafka would probably have people doing backflips, and Silverwolf is a decently popular character, not as much as Firefly, but I'm not picking Firefly. I think Kafka's playstyle does translate to Zenless pretty well. She would be an electric anomaly character, which is funny because anomaly electric also has a damage over time. They can give her some sort of a mechanic that allows her to set off anomalies twice in a row, skipping the second buildup and the 3-second cooldown. That would be a pretty fun character. Just having a character come in, double on anomalies, I think that would be pretty interesting. Silverwolf, on the other hand, could be a support support character who can carry over her weakness implant. This would be a very interesting mechanic. She would implement the weakness of the character in the first slot, and if the devs want to have fun, maybe you can put her, maybe they can make her ultimate a little install and she goes into level 999 and temporarily becomes like an on-field DPS and does a lot of crazy damage, but only for like a limited amount of time, obviously. Let's dive into timeline 3. Here we have Robin, we have Fei Xiao coming to Zenless, and then we have Astra and we have Evelyn coming to Star Rail. This set is slightly themed with them sort of exchanging their singer characters. I think it's cute, right? It's a cute idea. Starting with Robin and Star Rail, she is a support who doesn't really attack much, which is also pretty similar to Astra. But I do have faith that they'll probably do something different. Like if Robin were to come into the game, she would probably do something different than Astra. I would say it's hard to see her do anything that's not a support, but maybe she could be an off-field DPS where she summons little birds to attack with your main DPS, and then maybe she still does give like a little bit of a support buff as well. Mainly like a sub DPS off-field. I think that could be cool. And jumping straight into her counterpart from Zenless Zone Zero, we have Astra, who, funny enough, could literally just be a carbon copy of Robin if they really wanted to. But again, I have faith that they'll, if they put Astra in Star Rail, they'll probably do something different than just making her Robin again, right? She does have a heal on her ultimate, so perhaps she can be a sustain. Oh my god, please be a sustain. Oh, that'd be so good. Star Rail is in a desperate need for sustain, so having like a sustain buffer legit would be generational. Damn, I got myself excited for Astra. Wait, can we get Astra now? That'd be fire, bro. Now, I put Fei Xiao here mainly because I think she would just be omega sick in ZZZ. She uses an axe, she uses a sword, and she straight up just punches with her bare fist, bro. Like, she is made for a hyper carry DPS to box. Like, she is not made for Star Rail. She is made to box people in Zenless Zone Zero. I feel like she would just be really fun to play as. And also, I paired her with Robin because, you know, back in the day, the follow-up team was, you know, Fei Xiao and Robin cooking up a storm. But that team is dead now. Or they can just put Topaz's fat ass in the game. Holy shit. Moving on to Evelyn coming to Star Rail. And you guessed it, she's a main DPS. Whoopie wowee. Her mechanic would be pretty difficult to implement, I think, because chain attacks don't exist in Star Rail. So they would have to come up with something. Maybe she could be a hunt character and allow her to do multiple attacks. Follow-up attacks, of course, sort of emulate chain attacks in a way. And Star Rail did just implement sort of the team attack mechanic with the new Fate characters with Saber and Gilgamesh, Rin and Archer. So perhaps Evelyn and Astra also have one as well, and I think that'd be really fun and really cool. Also, Evelyn is super hot, and I don't think anybody would complain if she's in the game, right? This next timeline is for the pink hair enjoyers. It would be really funny, but also really cool to have Cyrene and Finon come from Star Rail and join Zenless, and have Ramiel and Cecilia come from Zenless to join Star Rail. Exchanging their two popular flagship pink hair characters would be very funny. They also come alongside a modern popular character as well, being Cecilia and Finon. So let's begin with Cyrene. I think it would be a pretty cut and dry basic support character. She would use her bow and arrows as normals, but once she gets into her ult, I think she would summon Demiurge, and Demiurge would be doing off-field DPS damage. So just imagine a big Demiurge in the background of the Zenless stages, and she's shooting arrows in the back. Next up is Finon, who probably is the most popular male character in Star Rail history. A massive missed opportunity if he's not in the game. Straight up. If we're taking the time to do a Star Rail Zenless collab, just put Finon in. Just put him in. Now we're definitely looking at potentially one of the rawest characters they could possibly add to Zenless. Literally just make him Yi Xuan Guan, which does contradict what I said about Astra and Robin being similar, but like, he's just that cool. He's that cool, bro. He's that cool. So yeah, we have an install super, transforming him into his world-bearing form, hyper DPS, destroying everything. I think, you know, cinema, peak, whatever, 10 out of 10. You know how it is out here in these streets. People would be down for a sick Finon drop. Moving on to Ramiel in Star Rail. She isn't even out yet by the time I'm recording this, but they've made a huge effort to properly set up this character for success, and Star Rail players love pink hair women, so I think she fits right in. Remiel would be a sub DPS on the path of erudition. Heard of fans? No, don't think about it. She'd have a passive ability that when built up allows her to drop a AoE nuke on the enemy's forehead, similar to her in ZZZ. I also think they should carry over her ability to copy an element. Let's say the character in the first slot gets their element copied. This will allow her to slot in as a sub DPS to a lot of teams, especially if she has some kind of res pen or team-wide buff. And last but not least for the fourth timeline is Cecilia. Cecilia quickly climbed the ranks as one of the most popular characters in Zenless just based on how funny she is. While her actual in-game performance and status is controversial, she is loved as a character. Having her be a literal dragoon would be amazing. If you don't know, Cecilia in Zenless has an ability where she jumps up into the air, goes airborne, you control where she lands, and you strike with massive damage. It is literally a dragoon from Final Fantasy. So I think it would be a neat tie-in to have Cecilia be a dragoon in Star Rail. I think it would be fun. Just let her skill be a jump and she builds up damage. Maybe she stacks up venom somehow. This would be awesome. They could cook. They would cook so hard with this shit, dude. Oh my god. Now, I think this last timeline would make the biggest splash on both games. Sparkle and Acheron coming to Zenless, and Yuzuha and Miyabi coming to Star Rail. You don't know how hard I held back not making Yuzuha Bernice. Let's start with Sparkle. The chance of this happening is pretty high, as they already hoard her out to that other game that people pretend to play. So I do have a weird idea for this character, but she is a weird character herself, so I guess it makes some sense. I have Sparkle as a stunner slash support character. Yes, both. That being because when she holds her basic, she'll put on her mask and turn into Sparksy. Sparksy would build up stun, while Sparkle would be a direct support buffing to the main DPS. Their ultimate can be an attack that provides a buff and also does a little bit of stun buildup as well, kind of combining the both. Maybe it's like a team attack. It would be cool. This idea might be broken, but I think it would be fun, and it does fit Sparkle, sort of like the mask changing kind of personality switching girl. So I do think it would work for her. Jumping to Yuzuha, who by the way is cut from the same cloth as Sparkle. Hu Tao, Sparkle, and Yuzuha are basically all the same character. Anyway, Yuzuha could bring a interesting mechanic to Star Rail, her unique block. She would still be a support character as usual, but would have a passive that once conditions are met, she can block an attack that would potentially hit an ally. Maybe she could be a DOT buffer just because she's an anomaly buffer if they want to go down that route, or she can just be a overall buffer. And of course, her little Tanuki needs to be with her in her attacks and animations as well. They can't leave that out. Next up, we have Acheron, and this drop alone would probably double Zenless's player base. She's just that popular. I think she would be an anomaly-based character, would benefit from stacking all kinds of anomalies. I'm talking like disorders, abloom, limb sweat, polarity disorders, everything. She wants it all. And it would all tie back into her ultimate, which then she just unleashes and completely erases health bars and enemies. Pretty much super Miyabi. And speaking of Miyabi, Miyabi is the most popular character in Zenless. People would go ballistic over her in Star Rail, and I would not expect her moveset to disappoint. My idea is that she is an erudition main DPS. Miyabi in Star Rail absolutely destroys mobs, so why not carry that over? Now, she wouldn't be bricked like some of these other erudition characters. We would definitely have her scale properly depending on the number of enemies. She can also be a pseudo Nihili character, applying Frostburn to enemies just like she does in Zenless, and even keep her enhanced basic from Zenless, and maybe even stack up Fallen Frost. So there were my 5 timelines I cooked up here. One thing I do want to mention for all of them is I think it would be super fucking cool. It would be super cool if they redesigned the characters based off of their respective world they're joining. So if March gets in Zenless, it would be awesome if they designed her like they redesigned her like a Zenless Zone 0 character, and like vice versa for like Nicole coming to Star Rail. So like you design Nicole as if she is a Star Rail character. That would be so cool. Oh my god, that'd be so cool. Like I'm talking like character design, like their actual costume and clothes, not just gameplay design. I don't know if they'll go the extra mile, but I mean, this entire video is pipe dream shit, so let me dream. We're dreaming, guys, we're dreaming. The collab is scheduled to release in winter 2026, so we still have a little while to go before we get any official information. I'm very excited for this collab. Obviously, the TripleHoyoVerser himself. Despite whoever they pick, I think they will cook up. I have faith in them. I do wish Genshin wasn't so lost in its lore to do fun stuff like this, but oh well, it is what it is. Let me know if any of these timelines are appealing to you. If not, feel free to make your own timeline in the comments below. I'd be happy to look at them. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and even subscribing, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.